So let's dig into what are the good reasons to take on the work of employee surveys, as well as the cautionary concerns in taking on the work of employee surveys. Let's think through why surveys should be done at all. Just a high level, the positive reasons to delve into surveys has to do with the fact that it's a means of gauging the level of employee interest in the work of the organization. It gives insight as to the extent to which people are likely to stay and have a willingness to contribute positively to their workplace environment. I would offer up that any company of substance should be making the ask, reaching out to its employees to understand the extent to which employees find this to be a meaningful, positive place to work. And the survey methodology is the typically recognized way in which to do that. There's a lot of different considerations in doing so. Now, another positive for taking this on is you can also identify issues that may be surfacing that can be represented in uh, a consistent fashion, as opposed to the notion that the loudest voice is out there, but it may not be the representative voice. So, by going through the rigor of an employee survey, you're able to understand, is that loud voice a representative voice, or is it a concern of one or two individuals? So, conducting a comprehensive survey allows for an opportunity to understand what's going well and what could be improved, and how do we ensure that if there's a recognition for improvement, it's a true theme. It's shared by a number of other employees, and the data tells us that. Another reason to do employee surveys, it's a means of active communications. Surveys, when done well, when they're trusted, create this two-way communication between leaders and employees on scale. It's a chance for leadership to have insights on how well their messages are being received by employees and vice versa. So it does allow on scale in a moment for a comprehensive communication vehicle. Next, there's a chance to look at how people view the extent to which they receive the the tools and the services necessary for them to be able to do their work. Are there things that get in the way? I often, when I'm mentoring and developing human resource leaders and leaders of organizations for that matter, I'll often note that the role of an HR professional and a leadership of people professional is to work to close the gaps. And what I mean by this is closing the gaps that prevent employees from being able to operate and perform at their highest possible levels. What are the gaps that prevent employees from fully committing to their work, to the relationship with their boss, and their relationship to the company at large? HR professionals and people leaders are gap fillers. They need to first understand the gaps, and then they need to commit to take those on. And the survey vehicle is a means of understanding the more commonly held concerns, the gaps. So this affords companies an opportunity to understand the gaps, and it may be in areas that have to do with whether employees feel like they have a chance to grow. Are they continuing to develop? Are those opportunities being made available to them for unique training that ensures they can not only do their job well, but they can expand their careers through those training and development programs that are made available to them? Are they getting fair feedback, consistent feedback? Do they know where they stand? We've talked about this in other sessions that I've provided through this series of programs. having to do with performance management. Here's a chance to understand whether the performance management process works well, whether that is a means by which employees understand where they are at critical milestone moments in the course of their career. So there's another reason for doing surveys if you needed more. And surveys, in essence, if they're done effectively, they have a chance um, to acknowledge employee contributions and concerns. And this could lead to boosted morale. Employees feel heard and they feel valued through an effort such as this. But it has to be genuine and there needs to be a real commitment to this work. If not, well, let me share some of the cautionary concerns. First, I hold that employees are savvy. I've shared this before as well, that employees are equipped, we're all equipped as humans to gauge authenticity and real commitment to to take on the work of relationship building. And surveys are a means of relationship building. Yet some companies, and this is the cautionary note, may simply do this to check the box that, oh, yeah, we do surveys. We have one coming out soon, or we just wrapped one up. They do it for the sake of the surveys themselves, but they don't really commit to meaningful change as a result of what they've heard. And of course, the downside to this is that employees become quite cynical. Here comes another survey. Whatever happened to my feedback from the last survey? And thus the trust level is diminished if companies conduct surveys, but they don't commit to the follow up work associated with a comprehensive survey process. They may ignore the results. It's so common for me when I'm working with client companies to take a look at written comments, open text comments, and say, well, I know who said that. Yeah, they're trouble anyway. They'll diminish some elements of the feedback that they receive. And as a result, um, that although they may or may not directly convey that to employees, I hold again that employees gain a sense of that nature in leadership and they become disillusioned because, again, the employee survey process is empty rhetoric. Um, it can also serve as a bit of a blame game in which feedback could be used to diminish certain departments kind of publicly. They could be called out. Uh, Many companies with best of intentions could ask for feedback on the extent to which they're getting quality service from the safety organization or from the human resources organization or finance and so forth. That's helpful to know because employees are internal customers of services provided by many different organizations. Yet, if survey data is not managed in a respectful fashion, then that blame game nature can occur. And once again, the survey process could be diminished in its value. Another cautionary note, if surveys are not structured well, if there's inherent bias to how the questions or survey items are posed, then that can cause respondents to choose not to respond to portions of the survey itself. The survey overall loses its credibility. This is one primary reason for employers not to conduct their surveys. Have a third party be there to conduct the survey. That third party, if they're doing their job well, they think about it. They live and die by whether they're providing high integrity, effective, value added uh, services in the area of this case, surveys, employee surveys. They have to operate with a high level of integrity and having an ethical value that they apply to their work. And they have to earn the trust of employees right away because they've been called in from the outside. But we generally find that employees will take the leap and assume that, well, this is an expert. You've called in the expert organization that does employee surveys for a living, they'll do this right. So, if the survey process is set up in an effective manner in which the organization announces the survey, states that they've engaged a third party expert organization to conduct the survey, and that they will conduct the survey in a manner that all feedback from employees will be received not only in a confidential manner, but in an anonymous fashion. So, that's our job, is to create a condition in which you can trust that this is a place where you can state what's on your mind in a balanced fashion, and it will be incorporated into all of your fellow employees who are taking the same approach. And that way you will know what are the primary themes that emerge from this survey, and how will the company commit to take that on. And that's of course, the cautionary note is we can have a great methodology, and so often companies fail to continue to commit to the follow up work that's needed. That's a cautionary note as well. Companies have to commit to take on the top 2 to 3 issues. Okay, there's a start for us, a sort of a lay of the land around the notion of conducting employee surveys. Why do it at all? What's the preferred kind of high level approaches, and what are the cautionary notes associated with it? And in future sessions coming up shortly, I'll talk about some conditions on what would make for introducing an employee survey into a company culture, and why it may or may not make sense to do employee surveys based on the nature of the company and the contextual conditions around it. So stay tuned for that in our upcoming session. Thank you.